Hi students, in this video, I'm going to go over your clinical field experience A, instructional strategies observation. For this field experience, you'll be observing in your mentor classroom for at least 2 hours. So there are 2 parts to this assignment. And the first part requires that you bring the template with you to your field experience. So make sure that you go over to your observation form and have that printed out and ready to go so you can answer all the questions during your observations. Once you have that template printed out, you're going to go ahead and conduct your observation. So you will take notes on the template during the instruction, and you're going to be looking for specific things. So let's go ahead and take a look at that template. So for your observation, you'll choose one of the objectives or standards that they're doing within that 2-hour time frame. Maybe choose the standard or objective that aligns to the bulk of the time of your observation, because during 2 hours, a teacher might have several standards or learning objectives that they're working towards. After you write in the grade, the subject level, the standard, and learning objectives, you'll be answering these questions and taking notes. Be detailed. The details will help you write part 2. So you're going to be looking for instructional strategies that were used. When we talk about instructional strategies, I wanted to take a minute just to jump in and talk about what are instructional strategies. What do they mean when they say instructional strategies? So instructional strategies essentially are anything that supports students with learning or the delivery of your instruction. So on this little graphic that I found, it has a few different examples for you. For example, monitoring progress is an instructional strategy. And here's some different ways in which you can monitor student progress. For example, doing learning contracts, on whiteboards, giving questions, having students think, pair, share are all examples of monitoring progress, which is an instructional strategy. In addition, you have things like comparing and contrasting ideas, getting students moving, like going and doing a heads together activity where they put their heads together to learn or talk about any specific concept. Forming groups would be an instructional strategy, or having them work together, adapting some content, having them share ideas, taking notes. All of these are examples of instructional strategies. So you're just going to take note of those strategies that you observe the teacher using. Sometimes they're so seamless that you don't even notice what the teacher is doing. So try to really push your thinking on what they're doing at any moment of time. The next thing you'll be looking at is the anticipatory set. And so your anticipatory set is how the teacher gets students excited and engaged for the lesson that's about to start, and how they seek the students' background knowledge. So do they ask questions? For example, if they were learning about fractions for the first time, you can ask a question like, can a number be cut into smaller parts? For example, if I have 1 pizza, can I make that into smaller parts? That would be a way to see what my students already knew about fractions before starting the lesson. And then how does the teacher create engagement and get students paying attention and engaged with the lesson? What are those moves the teacher is doing? You'll notate any technology being used, any activities or tasks that students asked to do, any activities or tasks that the teacher was doing. So it's important we separate those teacher actions from student actions. And then finally, we look at assessment practices is monitoring student progress during the class. So part 1 does not need to be in paragraph form or anything like that. It can be a list of strategies, and you could even write a little note next to it that helps you remember maybe how that strategy was used. Now, when we look at the reflection, you're going to write a 250 to 500 word summary of those instructional strategies. That's why taking great notes will be important for this assignment. I don't mind if you go over word counts, but please do not go under 250 words. You'll discuss what you saw. So you explain how you will use these findings of all of these instructional strategies that you witnessed and how they apply to your future practice. You'll also want to support those findings with scholarly resources. So if you mentioned that the teacher used a think, pair, share, for example, you'll want to talk about why it was effective, why you might use it in the future practice, and maybe find some research on think, pair, shares and how they engage students in more of the content than if you just asked one student. Make sure that you always look at your rubric when you are doing assignments, because this will show you exactly how you'll be graded. Here you can see that completing the form is one of the ways that you're graded. Then you'll see that your reflection is another grading. And then we'll look at mechanics. And then really this is important to me, which is your future professional practice. So these will be, you read through each of these, and if you'd like target on all of those, make sure that you are very detailed and comprehensively describing observations. Give me examples, specific examples, rather than saying the students did a think, pair, share. Give me an example. What did they talk about in that think, pair, share? So give me the question that the teacher asked, what happened when the students did the think, pair, share, and how it engaged them. If you have any questions over your first field experience, please don't hesitate to reach out. I am very flexible with the due dates of these assignments due to scheduling and trying to get placed in the classroom. So just communicate with me. If you're having trouble getting this scheduled this week, it's not a big deal. As long as you're communicating and I know where you're at, I can be flexible with you. Have a great afternoon.